Hello, Class 12, and welcome to your economics class with your Nigam sir. Again, I have come up with the same chapter, that is balance of payment and exchange rate. This is the lesson 2 of this chapter. In this video, we are going to study about the meaning of balance of payments disequilibrium and its causes of adverse balance of payments. Understood? So, in the last video, we studied about the meaning of balance of payment and its components. So, we studied that balance of payment is a financial statement which is recorded by a domestic country of the economic transactions that takes place between the resident of one country and the resident of another country during a given period of time. Okay, so it is not always so that the balance of payment will always be in equilibrium. There are times when there will be disequilibrium in the balance of payment. The disequilibrium of balance of payment may be either surplus balance of payment or deficit balance of payment. So when do we have deficit balance of payment is when autonomous receipts are less than autonomous payment, then we normally have a balance of payment deficit. So we, in simple sense, we can say that whenever the receipts are less than the payments, then the balance of payment is said to be in deficit. On the other hand, if the autonomous receipts are greater than autonomous payment, then the balance of payment is said to be in surplus. Or in simple sense, we can say that if the incoming money is more than the outgoing money, then the balance of payment is said to be in surplus. So these are the two disequilibrium of balance of payment. Now let us move to the causes of adverse balance of payment. Like we have understood, adverse balance of payments means a situation where the payment from the country is more than the receipts of the country. Understood? Or we can simply say that whenever there is more of outflow of money from the country than the inflow of money into our country, that situation is known as the adverse balance of payment. Understood? Or we can simply say that whenever the import is more than the exports of the country, because whenever the imports are more, obviously the payments will be more than the receipts. So that situation is known as adverse balance of payment. So what are the causes for this situation is the number one, fall in foreign demand. Second one is inflationary pressure, development expenditure, increase in cost structure of export industries, decrease in supply, appreciation in the exchange rate, increased debt burden, demonstration effect, population pressure, and lastly, political factor. Now let us understand each of them in detail. So the first cause is the fall in foreign demand. So what do you mean by foreign demand? We need to understand foreign demand. So foreign demand are those demand which are demanded by the foreign customers. Understood? So whenever there is fall in foreign demand, then also the balance of payment deficit might arise. Okay, it might so happen that the foreign customer will shift the demand from the country's good to the good of another country. Understood? So the reasons may be different for that situation. It may happen that there might be a change in taste and fashion of the foreign customer, or they might find the same commodity in some other country at a lower price, or there might be a fall in income of the foreign customer. So because of all of this reason, there might be a fall in foreign demand, as a result of which the export of a country decreases. And if there is a less of export and imports is more, then obviously there will be a situation of balance of payments deficit. So this is the first cause. The second cause is the inflationary pressure. So whenever a country experience inflation in the economy, then also there might be unfavorable balance of payment or deficit balance of payment. So whenever a domestic country experiences inflation, then at that situation it becomes it becomes cheaper for the domestic customer to buy the commodities from foreign countries, because at the domestic market the price of the goods have increased, but in international market the price of the same commodity might be lower. So as a result, what people will do is that people will stop buying the commodity from their domestic country. They may import the commodity from another country because it is cheaper. So as a result, import will increase, and if import increases, then the country will experience deficit or adverse balance of payment. So this is the second reason for this situation. Now comes the third cause, that is the development expenditure. As we all know, the developing countries during the early phases of economic development, they depend upon the developed countries for different things, for the supply of machines, raw materials, technical know-how, etc. So they tend to demand more of foreign goods, or we can simply say that the imports of the domestic country in the early phases of economic development will normally be very high. So, if imports are more than the exports, then a country experiences deficit or adverse balance of payment. So, this is the third reason for deficit balance of payment. The fourth cause is increase in the cost structure of export industries. So, this simply means that if there is an increase in the cost of production of export industries, then also the country will have adverse balance of payment. Okay, so there might be an increase in the cost of production of export items for the country due to many reasons, and the reasons might be increase in wages or increase in the prices of raw material, or it might also be inflation. So because of all of this reason, what may happen is that the price of export items for the country might increase, and if there is an increase in the price of export items, then the export of a country will fall. As a result, what will happen? There will be a less of receipts for the country, and the country will have adverse balance of payment. For example, we have some items which are exported, which are exported a lot. For example, spices. For example, textile commodities. Okay, so if there is an increase in the if there is an increase in the prices of raw materials in the textile industry, then what will happen? Then the price of the clothes in the country will increase. Okay, so as a result, the foreign customer will buy less of Indian textile because the price of textiles has increased in India. Okay, so as a result, the export will decrease, and if the export falls, then a country will have adverse balance of payment. Then the other reason for an adverse balance of payments is the decrease in supply. So the the decrease in supply may happen in agricultural production due to natural factors like drought, overrain. Okay, so because of this factor, there may be a fall in the agricultural commodities. So whenever there is a fall in agricultural production, then the country will be able to export less. Understood? Then a country will not be able to export, or the country has to depend upon another country for the supply of agricultural commodities. As a result, import will be more and the export will be less. This results in adverse balance of payment. It can also happen in the industrial sector. The industrial sector, there may be a fall in the supply of industrial production due to the labor strike or due to the shortage of raw materials and power, etc. As a result of which, the domestic consumer has to depend upon the foreign countries for the industrial products. So that means we are importing more. So whenever import increases and export falls, there is a situation of adverse balance of payment. Now, the sixth point is appreciation in the exchange rate. So, what do you mean by appreciation? Is appreciation normally means a situation where the domestic currency becomes valuable in the international currency market. That means in order to get 1 US dollar, we have to pay less of Indian rupees. So that situation is known as appreciation of exchange rate. So whenever appreciation of a country's currency happens, then normally this makes the import cheaper and export expensive, because whenever the appreciation takes place in the country, then then we are able to get the same commodity from foreign market at less Indian rupee. Understood? So as a result, imports become cheaper, and it becomes very expensive for the foreign customer to buy the Indian commodities, because they have to pay more of their currency to get Indian products. Understood? So as a result, export falls and import increases, which ultimately leads to adverse balance of payment. So this is the sixth reason. Now, the seventh cause is the increased debt burden. As we all know, in developing countries, there is a lot of huge investment that is done by the developed countries. So they make a lot of capital investment in the developing countries. For example, in India also there has been a lot of development from the developed countries like United States of America, Germany, then Japan, and then also we have the investment of Canada, France, etc. Okay, so these developed countries invest a lot of money in the developing countries. So whenever they invest a lot of money in developing countries, so the developing countries have to pay interest on the capital. So there will be outflow of money from India or from developing countries to the developed countries. So as a result, the developing country like India experiences adverse balance of payments, because there is a lot of outflow of money as in the form of interest on the capital from the developing country to the developed country. So this ultimately results in adverse balance of payment. The eighth cause is demonstration effect. Demonstration effect is an effect that takes place in order to demonstrate others, in order to show others. So what happens in the underdeveloped country is that the people of underdeveloped countries try to copy the lifestyle of the people of developed countries, and the people of underdeveloped countries try to buy the luxury items from the developed countries, like luxury cars, luxury clothes, or different items. So whenever they buy or whenever they import the luxury items from the developed countries, there is more of outflow of money. So as a result, the country experiences the adverse balance of payment. The ninth cause of adverse balance of payment is the population pressure. Population pressure simply means rapid increase in population. So this situation has been experienced by many underdeveloped countries all over the world. So whenever there is an increase in population, there will be an increase in demand for all the consumer goods, be it the food items, clothes items, or different furnitures. Okay, so the demand for all of these items increases. As a result, the domestic country has to depend upon the foreign country for all of these items. Not only that, whatever commodities they were exporting earlier will also get reduced, because the domestic consumer demand them more, and the country is able to sell them less in quantity to the foreign customer, because they need in the domestic market only. So as a result, what happens is that the imports of a country increases and the export of the domestic country falls. So the country experiences the adverse balance of payment. So the last cause of adverse balance of payments is political factor. So deficit balance of payment might also be caused because of different political factors, like political turmoil and instability that is taking place in countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, and other oil exporting countries. So what is happening in those countries is that there has been a political turmoil and riots and instability. Okay, because of this reason, what has happened is that the prices of oil in the international market has increased. So because of the increase in the prices of oil in the international market, the import bill of every country has increased, because most of the countries depend upon these Gulf countries for the supply of petroleum products. Even India also import a lot of petroleum from these countries. Because of the increase in the prices of petroleum, the import bill of India has increased. So as a result, there will be a and there India has experienced a deficit balance of payment. The second political factor is also because of the economic assistance that is being provided by developed countries against Iraq, Libya, and Afghanistan. So, for developed countries like United States of America, UK, and all, they are providing they are providing economical help to all of these countries. So as a result, there is a lot of payment that is being made by these countries to Libya, Afghanistan, Iraq. So as a result of this, these developed countries have been experiencing deficit balance of payment. So these were the different reasons for adverse balance of payments. So we have come to the end of this video. I hope everything is clear. If you have any problem, we can discuss it in the class. Thank you for watching this video.